What is going on, Devils fans? As always, it is your host, your best friend, your confidant, your number one source, Neil Villapiano, and welcome to episode 2 of season 7 of the Devil's State of Mind podcast, right here on the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as Sports Wire Radio, the best place to get everything you need to know about, once again, the potential of the Hughes brothers, all three of them playing for this team, New Jersey Devils. And as always, Devils fans, I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you're checking out this podcast episode. And thank you guys, as always, for taking time out of your day to check this episode out. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And it is September 10th, 2025 at the time of this recording. And basically, we are going to finally have hockey, and we mentioned it last week, but we're here, guys. We have finally made it. The Devils Prospect Challenge kicks off later on this week, and for the first time since Game 5 of last year's first round series in the playoffs against the Carolina Hurricanes, we will see guys for the New Jersey Devils playing in a hockey game. And I am very excited to check those young prospects out and get a feel for what the Devils have for the future, as we are also now exactly a week away from the veterans reporting to training camp and really training camp getting underway. So, guys, we are right there. We have finally made it and mentioned it last week, but again, just so excited to get this season underway. Really quickly, just want to shout out our sponsor over at DraftKings Sportsbook. For new customers, if you bet just $5, you get $300 instantly in risk-free bets. Also, $100 off on the NFL Sunday ticket, courtesy of YouTube and YouTube TV. This is a phenomenal, if not one of the best offers that DraftKings has, especially for new customers. So again, all you got to do is sign up with our promo code THPN. Again, promo code THPN. You get $5, you get $300 instantly in risk-free bets. And you also get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket with YouTube and YouTube TV. So always shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the Hockey Podcast Network and the Devil's State of Mind podcast. And as always, Devils fans, make sure to bet responsibly. All right, so let's jump into today. So really what we're going to do is we're going to start by talking a little bit about some of the professional tryout contracts that the Devils signed last week. We are then going to get into the main topic of our episode with some comments that our superstar Jack Hughes made at NHL Media Day. And then lastly, I'm going to give you, once again, like I did last week, kind of a breakdown of what to expect from this Prospects Challenge starting tomorrow on Thursday, September 11th. So as always, Devils fans, we have a bunch to get to here in the Devil's State of Mind podcast. So let's not waste any more time and get rolling. And we will get rolling and drop the puck with, as I mentioned before, talking about the Devils' professional tryout contract signings. So yes, the team has signed forwards, former Devil Kevin Rooney and Luke Glendening, as well as goaltenders Georgi Romanov and Adam Scheel. And they are all on professional tryout contracts. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with PTOs, they are essentially contracts to play and be a participant in training camp and preseason games, but there is no money involved. And all of these guys are basically be given a tryout to try to earn either a roster spot and an NHL contract, or at the very least, earn a contract in the AHL and maybe even potentially with another NHL team, depending. If you remember last year with Kevin LeBanc, he signed a PTO with the Devils, had a tremendous, really had a very productive preseason, but the Devils ultimately decided not to keep him, which I still feel that, looking back now, is a mistake. He's now a PTO signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. But the Devils have had some PTO guys. One example is Jimmy Vesey several years ago, signed a PTO with the Devils, ended up making the team out of training camp, played the entire year in New Jersey before getting a multi-year contract to go back to the New York Rangers. So this is just something that is allowed throughout the NHL, and just an opportunity, particularly for veterans, to find a way to get an opportunity to try out for an NHL team and give themselves an opportunity to earn that contract during that time. So let's talk a little bit about the four guys that the Devils have signed. So we'll start with the most obvious one that a lot of Devils fans know and recognize from the name. It's Kevin Rooney. He began his NHL career with the New Jersey Devils in 2016-17 and played 95 regular season games with the Devils through the end of the 2019-2020 season. He comes in with 60 career points, 32 goals, and 28 assists in 330 regular season NHL contests. He played the last couple of years in Calgary with the Flames. And essentially, if he does make the team, expect him to be basically a fourth line checking role kind of guy. He is over 50% on faceoff. So this is a guy that could certainly make this team with the benefit of being a solid penalty killer as well as a good faceoff guy. So we'll see what he can bring. But Kevin Rooney gets his second stint with the New Jersey Devils. Talk about Luke Glendening again for some of the more, I guess you would say more detailed fans. You've probably heard this name before, but Glendening has spent the last 2 seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning. His faceoff percentage is also very impressive at 57% success. That led all Lightning skaters last season, while his 105 hits ranked 5th on the team. He has totaled 166 career points, 83 goals, 83 assists in 864 career regular season games. He has also played in 50 career Stanley Cup playoff games since the 2013-2014 season. So, with Glendening, you're getting a very, very veteran type player, a guy as well that could be potentially very valuable on the bottom six, creating that depth in terms of winning faceoffs, being a really good penalty killer, and also bringing a little bit more physicality to the team. So certainly he's going to come in and try to make an impact right away. It's the guy, again, has that a lot of experience playing in the playoffs as well, something that I'm sure the Devils looked at as a reason, one of the reasons to give him a tryout contract. Now, what's really interesting is that the next two guys, as mentioned before, are goaltenders. And a lot of people say, well, I mean, why are we even entertaining this? We already have a lot of young goaltenders. Well, the thing is that number one, you can never have too much depth. And number two, you know, there's a very likely possibility that Jakub Malik is going to end up being the starter in Utica. And I know that Nico Dawes is kind of in a weird spot right now about, is he going to stick with this team? Is he going to be part of a deal for something else? We don't know. But Dawes also, I think, is going to try to give himself the opportunity to once again try to take the reins or the majority of the reins in Utica as well to battle with Jakub Malik. But you look at guys like Romanov and Scheel, they are also guys that you could expect to maybe earn a contract to play in the ECHL with the Adirondack Thunder. We'll start with Romanov, who has spent the last 2 seasons with the San Jose Sharks organization at both the NHL and the American Hockey League levels. The netminder made his NHL debut in April of 2024 and owns a 3.12 goals against average and a .904 save percentage in 50 career AHL games. He has a 2015 and 13 record with San Jose. He played in 10 NHL games over the past 2 seasons. Unfortunately, has not won any of them. He is 0-6-0 with a 3.53 goals against average and a .888 save percentage. Not something to write home about. I think that would be the fair way to look at that. Let's talk about Scheel. Scheel played in 14 games with the Colorado Avalanche's AHL affiliate last season and recorded a very impressive 10-2-2 record with a 2.62 goals against average as well. The 26-year-old also appeared in 19 games with Utah in the ECHL during the 2024-25 season. Scheel has played in 101 career AHL games with Texas, Chicago, and Colorado since 2020-2021. So at 26 years old, he is still yet to make his NHL debut. Nothing saying that may not happen in the near future. We don't know. But again, the Devils are bringing in some more depth. And again, none of these guys are getting paid anything. So it's not affecting the Devils' salary cap in any way, shape, or form. I know some people were wondering why were the Devils signing these guys, especially with the little cap space we have. There's no salary to be given to these players. They are tryout contracts, essentially trying to prove themselves and earning a contract that actually has some monetary value to it. Just want to really quickly here jump into something that I forgot to add to my list of things I wanted to talk about yesterday, because I just mentioned that Scheel played for Utah in the ECHL. The Utah Grizzlies and the ECHL announced yesterday that the Utah Grizzlies will be moving to Trenton, New Jersey next year. So this is their last season coming up in Utah, and then they will play in Trenton. And A lot of speculation about whether or not the Devils will be that team's affiliate. Or whether they will make the new Trenton team their ECHL affiliate. Currently, the ECHL team the Devils have is the Adirondack Thunder, but the contract between the two teams does come up at the end of the year. So I do wonder if that's something the Devils will look into. But currently, that ECHL affiliate is the affiliate of the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll see if things change. They're also doing on their website, they're doing a team naming contest. So you can actually put in a name. I put the Trenton Titans because that was what they used to be back in the day. They were also Trenton Devils at one point, and it'll be really interesting to see what team name they eventually go with and everything. But we are getting more hockey back in New Jersey, in Trenton, New Jersey, with this ECHL team coming over to start the 26-27 season. So I just wanted to quickly bring that up. And again, as mentioned before, those are the PTOs that the Devils have signed for training camp. So all four of those guys will report to training camp next week, along with the rest of the veterans. Now, let us shift to the main topic of this episode. And you guys know that I was going to talk about this because I brought it up a bunch of times yesterday on social media. I even made a video about it as well that you can go check out on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, wherever. You can check it out as I explain it a little bit. But Jack Hughes, as many other of the top NHL players in the league, were part of Media Day, or the last couple of Media Days in Vegas getting ready for the NHL season. And Jack Hughes was interviewed by Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic, and Pierre LeBrun pretty much got to the nitty gritty and asked him, would he like the opportunity to play with his brother Quinn Hughes along with Luke Hughes at some point in their career? And this is what Jack Hughes had to say. He said, "This is the headline question, you know. Honestly, I'm not afraid to say it. Yeah, I would love for Quinn to eventually I'd love to play with them. And whether that's in New Jersey or at what time that takes at some point, I want to play with Quinn. But yeah, that's the question going around. They talk all day about it up in Vancouver, you know? But yeah, I'd love to play with Quinn at some point." So once again, the Quinn Hughes to New Jersey or the Hughes brothers playing together rumors have ramped up yet again with Jack making this quote. And I think that this is the most impactful quote since Jim Rutherford, the general manager and president of or just the president of the Vancouver Canucks, made at the end of last season, talking about that potentially the only way to keep Quinn around is to get, Jack and Luke to come to Vancouver. But this is the next thing, and it's important because it comes from one of the Hughes brothers speaking very openly about it. And I appreciate that Jack is being open about it and speaking about, this instead of trying to beat around the bush that which we are accustomed to. So a lot of things you can take away from this quote. Some people look at it as, oh, well, maybe Jack and Luke will try to force their way out at some point of New Jersey and go join Quinn in Vancouver. A lot of people also look at, well, Quinn maybe in the next year or two will just simply leave and go to New Jersey and join with both Jack and Luke, who again, Jack is under contract for another 5 years. We'll get into the latest Luke Hughes news in just a little bit because there is something that Elliot Friedman brought up. But once again, I just want to say that I think, as I mentioned several months ago, the best course of action for the Devils, if they even want to entertain the Quinn Hughes sweepstakes, even in the near future, is to remain patient. There's plenty of time for something to happen, right? And in Vancouver, I don't think that they're worrying about it that much at this moment. I think this is a lot of a media driven, fan driven kind of thing. I think at the end of the day, we have to see where both teams go, right? We have to see how things progress. Things could go horribly wrong in Vancouver and go very well for the Devils. And maybe the two sides get to some sort of talking later on in the year. I very much doubt it. Quinn Hughes is a free agent in 2 years. So I think the Devils probably, if they're thinking long term and entertaining that possibility, I would lean towards they're probably looking more at getting him in free agency and not having to give up anything other than money. And the Devils' salary cap situation will be a lot different by then. But there are also other questions to answer, like I've brought up before: Jacob Markstrom extension, eventually Nico Hischier extension, and currently trying to figure out what kind of contract you're going to give Luke Hughes for the foreseeable future. So that is a very, very big quote. And I think the thing that people will look at is when Jack said, I would love for Quinn to eventually, I'd love to play with him. And some people will look at that and say that he wanted to say New Jersey, but he wanted to backtrack and everything. But I think more Jack just wanted to just say, look, at some point I'd like to play with them. Don't know when, don't know where, this, that, and the other thing. This also shouldn't worry Devils fans immediately in saying that, like, oh, Jack and Luke are definitely gone. No, no, no. Everyone just relax. As I said last week, just relax. It's fine. We're all good, right? Nothing is happening. Nothing is materializing. Nothing. But obviously, Jack quoting and saying that is going to spark up a lot of conversation, as we're talking about here. It's been brought up numerous times over the last 24 hours. But yeah, it sounds like that Jack very much at some point wants to play with his brother Quinn. And who doesn't want to play with their brothers? And I mean, Jack's already got Luke. So now he just has to find a way to get a chance to play with Quinn. And maybe it's in New Jersey. Maybe it's not. We shall see. But right now, the focus needs to be on the guys that are on the team right now instead of thinking where we are right now. But hey, you never know what could happen. And we'll certainly keep our eyes and ears on this as the season progresses and as we move forward here. I wanted to also bring up some quotes that Elliot Friedman brought up when he was speaking with NHL Network. Now, I saw this from NHL Rumor Report over on Twitter. I just want to be clear that this happened a few days ago. This is not something that just happened yesterday or that he spoke. This was him speaking a couple of days ago, but NHL Rumor Report brought it up. He says that this is talking about Luke Hughes. This one is that I watch next week. We get a situation where the players start coming to camp. I don't worry about this one. Freeman also said the biggest issue right now between Luke Hughes and the Devils is the term. Noted how young players may want to take bridge deals to see where the cap is going, but definitely did not rule out a long-term contract. And I think that just makes a lot of sense, right? From a player's perspective, because again, we don't know where the salary cap is going to truly be in the next year or two. We know it's going up and it's going to continue to go up. And it just opens the doors for a lot of different possibilities for everyone throughout the league, from the players to the GMs, to the teams, to the agents, all of them, right? So it is possible that Luke signs a 2 to 3 year bridge contract and then becomes an RFA again in a couple of years, except this time he could be offer sheeted by another team. That's the only difference between what he is now. He can't be offer sheeted by anyone. He can only sign with the Devils unless he gets traded, which is not happening. So really, I can understand that from the player's perspective. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if the Devils sign him to a 2 or 3 year bridge deal. I think for everybody, the perfect scenario is to get him signed to a 7 to 8 year long-term deal to officially confirm that both Hughes brothers are going to be here to stay for a long time, and that it's just something that you don't have to worry about, right? Jack Hughes also, when speaking to Pierre LeBrun, they asked him about the 5 year bridge, not the 5 year contract rumor that came out. And Jack basically said that there's not much to it. It was something brought up, as I had literally told you guys last week, from Jim Berenger of Full Press Hockey, that it was an idea. It's a suggestion, but it's not going to happen. So again, what we're looking at is either a 2 to 3 year bridge deal or a long-term deal. Either way, again, salary does have to be moved. And there's been some rumors going around, again, with involving Andre Palat, that the Devils have been trying to shop him. That Nico Dawes may be a filler, maybe something that entices a team to take on Palat's contract for the last 2 years of it. You still get a young goaltender with over 50 games of experience. It would sting a bit to give up Nico Dawes because I still believe that he can be an NHL goaltender full time and even potentially here with the Devils. But sometimes you have to make those choices in order to, do what's best for the team in that situation. Again, you can put Jonathan Kovacevic on LTIR. You'll get a little less than $4 million currently, which would still be enough to get a long-term deal done in terms of salary per year. But you'd kick the can down the road in terms of figuring out the salary cap once Kovacevic comes back. I don't know. I really don't know where the Devils are going from here. Friedman said that it's very likely that in the next week, because we have a week until veterans report to training camp, that a deal is going to get done. And that's the way that I look at it. And I think that's how everybody should look at it, because I don't think anybody really, really wants to, start the year off where Luke's not really holding out, but he's just not at training camp right away. We saw what happened last year with Dawson Mercer. I think the Devils and Luke as well want to try to avoid that. So that's the latest that we have from Elliot Friedman and just in general on Luke Hughes. And that's where we are right now. But again, I'm very hopeful and confident that by this time next week, Luke Hughes will have some form of a contract. This episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast is sponsored by our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Game on, week one starts now. And every touchdown, you're closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, any TD rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. New customers, this one's for you, my friends. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. $5, that's all you got to put down. You get $300 instantly in risk-free bets. Your season starts now, and all you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more, plus over $200 of NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. And lastly here, guys, again, I brought it up last week, but I'll bring it up here today. Again, the Devils, Prospects Challenge that they're doing with several other teams begins tomorrow, September 11th. But all of the rookies and prospects participating for the Devils in this challenge report to New Jersey today for medicals. And then after medicals, they will then get right on a bus and travel up to Buffalo, New York for the next couple of days, really for the next 4 or 5 days up in Buffalo. Again, the Sabres are hosting it at their practice facility. The Bruins, Blue Jackets, Devils, of course, and Penguins are all of the teams that are involved in it. And at the time of this recording, it hasn't happened yet, but at some point later on this morning, on here Wednesday the 10th of September, the roster will be announced. But I don't currently have it at this moment. But we will know by the end of today who's going to be on that roster. And again, I'll bring it up here. I'll actually scroll down to the bottom to show you guys the schedule once more. The Devils will be the first game that's played. It'll be tomorrow night, September 11th at 7 p.m. You can watch the games on the Devils website here or on their YouTube channel. Then the Devils will play the following day against the Sabres, and then they will play their last game of the Prospects Challenge on the 14th against the Bruins. That's a noon start. So every team plays 3 games, and so we'll have 3 chances to see a lot of the young prospects and some rookies participate in this, and it should be a lot of fun. And we'll see how many of the guys that we see over those next couple of days end up also going to the Devils' main training camp starting in a week. So again, guys, hockey is back. We're finally going to watch some hockey the rest of this week. So excited to watch along with you guys. And I'm excited to continue to talk about what goes on in Devil's World as we are also just a week away from the start of training camp. And I'm so very excited. And on that note, that's going to do it for this edition of the Devil's State of Mind podcast. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check this episode out. Really, really do appreciate it. As always, make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Click subscribe if you really, really like it, and tell all of your friends as well, as we are now just over 150 subscribers. I want to try to push to get to 175 by the start of the Devils season next month. So continue to like, subscribe, and tell your friends as well to subscribe here on YouTube. Also, you can check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all of those. And on Apple or Spotify, if you subscribe, leave a 5-star rating as well. Helps continue to grow the podcast immensely and get it out to more and more people. And if you're here on YouTube, you can see in the top right corner of your screen, you can follow the Devil State of Mind podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Devil State of Mind. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Devil State. Also, follow the TikTok, Neil.Villapiano. I post clips from the podcast on there as well. And also follow my BlueSky that I will also post updates of different things involving the Devils. Just again, search Neil Villapiano and you will find it. But again, thank you guys so very much for checking out this episode. And we will see you in the next episode next week as we're that much closer to training camp. Everybody continue to be the awesome people that you are. And as I always say at the end of every episode, put those horns up, baby. And let's go, Devils.